Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons The Second Age. How are we all doing?
Doing good.
I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, without further ado, who wants to give me a recap of what happened the last time we played?
So last time we rejoined our intrepid adventurers and party as we had just defeated the last of the illithids in the creepy prison.
Yep.
Creepy shifting prison dungeon vault. Dreaming vault.
The Dreaming Vault, yes.
And now have to continue our search for our friend Puck, the Archfey.
Mm-hmm.
After smashing some organ keys for a bit, going, this is getting us nowhere, we started to try and think of ways that we could track down our good friend. We had a bit of a wander, couldn't find him. We used the spell Sending after that to get in contact with him, and he was like, yo, you can find me with this thing I've got on me. And everyone went, what the fuck is this thing? And he went, and we all turned to Cobweb and went, what the fuck is this thing? And Cobweb was like, it's a thing he keeps on him. And we went, cool.
Yeah.
So we used locate object on it, and we found it, and then we picked it up before we realized that it was a pointy arrow pointing in the direction it wanted us to go. But it's fine because we just used locate creature.
You just use magic anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Like, what's the point? It doesn't cost us anything. We might as well just locate creature to see where Puck is. So we found him, and he was like, hooray. Got him free.
Hooray!
No, we weren't free. He had this weird compass. We were like, that's a fucking weird compass. And we used the compass, and yeah, sure enough, after 2 days of wandering around this shitty dreaming vault, using the compass both to find our way out and to avoid anyone else that was any other threats that were trapped within the vault, we made our way out. And once we were out into the world above, Elizabeth was able to use the magic of the compass and her own to teleport them back to what you're now looking at, the lovely area, which I've forgotten the name of. Something.
The Sealy Court.
The area just outside the CD Court. Back where we'd first teleported in on our first sort of trip up here to start this whole adventure.
Oh, yeah. Next to the naked Oberon statue.
Yes.
Yeah, next to the naked Oberon statue. And at this point we went, right, now what? Because Puck is still magicless, so we've got to get it back somehow. We had discussed this. Puck had created a nice, completely meaningless, but doesn't look meaningless contract that would basically say, he's at our beck and call, he's not a threat, and Grim and Kelariis went to go and speak with Titania with the guise of, hey, we've got this contract with him now. Is there anything, we need to be aware of any contracts that he might have with you, say, or blah, 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 with the hopeful plan that they would basically distract her while Arya snuck in. But that proved unnecessary because Titania was in a very bad mood and she was just very, very angry with this whole contract. She just fucking saw straight through the deception and the meaninglessness of it. Basically turned it into a flower and then killed it. And was like, yeah, no, you fucked up. And she was totally ready to mess with them until Grim finally pulled out one of his trump cards and used one of the wishes granted to him by Tretherion to learn Titania's true name. And then nearly spoke it in the middle of the court in front of everybody before Titania stopped him. At which point she produced a contract, threw it in their faces, undid the silence and said, never show your faces here again. And if anyone you know or even acquainted with shows up here, they're fucked too.
Your acquaintances, your descendants.
Yeah, the whole shebang. She doesn't want to see anyone even vaguely related to us ever again. And then she stormed out. So then those two just left, and we'd been busy prepping Arya by giving her magic in the special ring that we'd never used up until a couple episodes ago. And that's when they got back and went and explained the whole thing, and everyone was just like, I'm sorry, how the fuck did you do that? But Grim maintained his secrets.
Yeah.
So at that point, Puck had his magic back after we dissolved the contract, and he was like, "Yeah, cool, this is great." So we've kind of secured his help should we need it in the future for saving his ass. Cobweb's had to say some very sad goodbyes, so we're very sorry to poor Cobweb. She didn't sign up for any of this. Well, she kind of did, but she didn't think it'd happen this quickly, and that's very sad. But now that we've done everything we came here for, we have just teleported back to the keep with Khazyara still in tow, because we're going to need a little bit more than just the compass to get her home.
Indeed. So, yeah, Elizabeth, you are currently casting Plane Shift, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Where are you putting yourself in terms of the keep?
Probably our usual spot where it's just like in sight of it, but far enough out that we're not going to disturb anyone by teleporting right in front of them.
Okay. Cool. So, as you materialize on the outskirts of the keep, several things immediately come into vision that are different from the last time you arrived. For starters, it looks like a reasonable amount of progress has been made on the curtain wall in the time that you have been gone. Previously, where you saw trenches that were being dug and the beginnings of the foundations beginning to be laid, the walls are probably now, for most of you, getting to about shoulder high, the full length of the way around the new compound layout. And you're noticing the scaffolding for several smaller buildings going up inside this new curtain wall. So it looks like a reasonable amount of progress has been made in the week or so since you've been gone. The other addition that you notice is a large cart that is laden with long. I guess they're like long metal bars. Is parked off to one side of the main gate. On the side of this large cart, it is a fairly tall, like covered, established, setup rather, and you can just about see the metal bars sticking out the back of it. And on the side of this cart is a blue cloth with an emblem on it of a stonemason's hammer and chisel. Clustered around this cart are 14 dwarves.
Yes.
All of whom appear to be in a small convoy helping to unload these long metal bars.
Yes. Those are the dwarves that we were recommended by.
It is entirely possible, yes.
It's quite likely.
Yeah, you are able to approach without drawing too much attention.
So yeah, as soon as everyone's in, Elizabeth just has a big sigh and says, "Well, home sweet home."
Well, for now.
Khazyara takes in the surroundings.
Oh yeah, we have fresh air.
Things are still under construction, but well, seems things are well underway.
She sort of like regards the whole thing and sort of says, "Defensible position, stone walls. You were expecting conflict."
More like conflict tends to find us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
if we were to tell you the story of why we need, or we're even able to get this keep, we'd be here a while.
Well, I think the short answer is more, we we like to involve ourselves in things that other people might not would have liked us involved in. And on top of that, we have the fund. Well, we had the funds to afford a more permanent solution to our defenses.
She nods understandingly.
It's besides being a defensive structure, it also somewhat of a status symbol, which will most likely get us into places that we would usually be turned away from. As you might understand, with I don't know what it's like for you with economics and all that, but yeah, it's
money and land is power around here.
She nods and sort of says, "We have a similar exchange with ships and various, I guess you'd call them cliques.
Ah, yes.
But we've never been, well, the Khazyara particularly have never been ones for static fortifications, or at least in our more recent future."
Well,
you do seem to be a lot further along the line than we are.
We have had to live on the run for quite some time. We have become accustomed to it.
And of course, yeah, that's also a good point. A cultural division that has very much forced our developments along two different roads.
yeah.
Along the history of our material plane, there's not been a huge call necessarily for constant mobility. There are certainly societies and cultures out there that embrace that, but most settle down eventually.
Well, you said the biggest problem is everybody would love to have a flying fortress, but we just can't.
Yeah.
That's the real issue.
You get to a fortress that moves is on the water.
Yeah, but it's kind of limiting.
Yeah, and we're quite far inland here. It's at least a week. It's at least a week's travel to the nearest coastline.
Khazyara takes all of this in as you're walking up towards the gates and is nodding sort of fervently, and then sort of as you begin to approach close enough that you can start picking out the details on people, she makes an effort with her cloak, and sort of puts the hood up, covers her arms, and attempts to be inconspicuous.
Good call.
Well, I don't think there is any such thing as inconspicuous in our camp.
Yeah,
but that's fine.
I mean,
she doesn't have to know. Well, she'll learn.
She'll learn pretty quick. She'll see the weirdness that is our inner circle and go, "Yeah, this is pretty weird."
I guess the first person we should inform is probably
Thundal.
Well, I was gonna say Riala.
Oh, true.
As
Well, if
yeah.
Is it not likely she'd already know?
I think she'd like to hear it, but we'll get both. I guess both Thundal and we'll get both of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So as you go to head through the gates, the dwarves who are unloading the long metal poles pause briefly to allow you through, so then break up the chain to let you in.
Yep.
You push open the doors to the interior fort, and it's busy as ever in here. A lot of the supplies that were previously being stored inside the walls have now either been moved outside the walls or have been used to put up these scaffolds for the new buildings. So there's a little bit. You've regained a little bit of the training room, at least, which seems to be a great relief to the recruits who are no longer sort of clustered around in very small places trying to train.
That's good.
Close quarter combat. It's fine.
Yep. Close quarters combat drills.
Yep.
CQC drills.
So, with relatively little effort, you are able to get hold of Vondal and Riala. Do you want anybody else to be present for this debrief, or is it just them for the moment?
I think those are the only ones you would explicitly grab, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess they were the only ones who were with us for the brief at the start, so they
Okay.
should be there for the debrief. It makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, you gather the two of them. As you sort of... Sorry, carry on.
I think it might, like, if Lars is around, perhaps we'd want him in, because I kind of want to make him like somebody who's in the know at all times as well.
Okay, yeah, he's, as ever,
Not grab our
reasonably easy
officers
to
then?
locate.
Yeah.
Should we not grab our other officers then if we're grabbing Lars?
I feel like I want to see the other officers. I feel like we're more informal with Lars. I want to try and do it on a more formal basis, if you understand. Because if we're going to send him on special missions, he needs to know what's going on so he can make the correct decision.
Yeah.
For example, if he for some reason needs to go to the Feywild, that he should not head to the Sealy courts.
Yeah, of course.
Or the Fey courts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you
I suppose we can tell Zidani and Khazyara another time.
You grab up Vondal and Lars relatively easily. You search out Riala, and sort of like as you approach, she sees you approaching, and her laid back demeanor sort of like cracks a little as she sees you approach, and she sort of hurries up towards you and smiles at you, Grim, and says, I guess she'd offer like a informal salute and just sort of say, you're back. Good news?
Yes, was good news, but we'll explain the details. There are some.
She looks visibly relieved.
There are some minor things that you should probably be aware of. But
Minor.
it's fine. You can't go back to the court where you were raised, pretty much. No.
No, don't say that now.
You know, that minor thing. That
Yeah.
one thing that'll
Thing if you
change
can
the...
never go home.
With a minor thing where we really just made an enemy of an archfey.
Yeah, that's fine.
The big boss archfey.
No, we just made them regret messing with us. That's all we did.
God.
Okay. So you gather the three of them between you in the war room. Yeah, I guess you give them the rundown of what happened. Feel free to go into that.
Well,
well, is there anything we don't say? Because it's probably easy to just say we catch them up, right?
Well, I think Grim specifically wants to mention some things to Riala.
Okay, true.
Oh yeah, I think what we're gonna do is, whilst Lars is here, we're gonna mention all the things and definitely
give the
You
official
say-
debrief and the
official
warnings.
debrief and tell them, don't go near the summer court if you can avoid it. If you do not, do inform, because things are going to have to be arranged pretty much.
He nods and acknowledges that and says, I prefer to keep my boots on as solid ground as I can, but I will keep that in mind.
Well, we didn't expect to end up there either, and as things have been going, we don't know, you might end up there one day. It's better to be in the know. But yes, I think we'll dismiss you for now, and then there will be some personal notes for Riala.
He salutes about faces and strides out.
So, well, as you, I guess you may have heard, we are not on the best of terms with the summer courts anymore. Neither is Puck or Cobweb, or anyone that has any affiliation to our, to the Amber Eagle or me.
Or to Puck, presumably.
Probably anyone affiliated to Puck as well, but that's, yeah.
Riella sort of nods understandingly and says, I understand.
We may have slightly strong-armed her, and she was not pleased. Therefore, you may not be able to return to there ever, at least not in a peaceful way, probably. Not till Titania has lost her power, which I don't foresee happening anytime soon.
Riella bows her head slightly and sort of thinks for a moment, then looks up and just sort of says, I understand completely, and as long as my uncle is somewhere safe and secure, I have little reason to go back there, particularly. I did not part with Titania and her court on the most positive terms to begin with. Puck suggested that I relocate when things became a little tense between the court and myself, no doubt due in part to my affiliations with him.
Well, because you're somewhat more personally involved, if you think for whatever reason Titania might be trying something, be sure to mention it, because we'll be able to deal with it, and we wouldn't want her to try and strong arm you or harm you in any way.
She smiles and says, I appreciate that. Puck has always gone a great ways to keeping me out of certain affairs, and knowing that you'll be keeping the same vigilance is reassuring.
Well, admittedly, even though I mention it specifically now for the summer court, it is basically a general rule of thumb for anyone here. So if there's anything else, be sure to mention it as well. And as for all this information that you heard, feel free to share it with your company, but avoid sharing it with with the rest of the guild, because in your current position, you are privileged to some additional information.
She nods and says, what is the phrase that Lars likes? Need to know.
Basis?
Yes.
Yes.
I was just about to say that. Great minds think alike.
Yes. But yes, it's neat to know, but I will not but between you and Lars and the rest of the group, you are always you're never forced to keep the secret between your group. And I suggest not to keep too many secrets between you to begin with. But that would be my approach. I'll see. That's up to you guys to figure out.
Yeah,
otherwise, you're dismissed.
She offers you a broad curtsy and says, you have my thanks, Commander. I appreciate that this was not a simple request, and the fact that you risked things to go on this mission is not lost on me.
Good, because we may not have heard the end of it, but I think we'll be good for now.
She nods and departs, just leaving you with Von Dahl. who sort of like looks up from everything that you've been saying, where he's been making like a handful of notes, and he sort of says, "Well, that certainly seems like a on the edge of the more bizarre scrapes that we've ever gotten ourselves into."
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, at least we have experience with people that nobody has ever heard of, race-wise. Look at Elizabeth. So we should be able to keep.
Why did you look at me when you said that?
Well, to be fair, you're not. You always like to go on about how nobody has seen an Ignacy before, and the truth is, most people haven't. So it's basically the same situation, except you knew more about this world than our current guest.
Yeah, at this, Vondal sort of turns to Khazyara and says, "Yes, forgive me, sorry, I don't think there was a formal introduction, Vondal Iron Fist. You must be Khazyara, of course." She nods and says, I gathered from the introductions who was who."
Yeah. Vandal runs things while we're not here, and is also our resident cleric. So, those are the kind of issues you go to him with.
Well, admittedly, if you need anything whilst we're not around for knowledge, we'll definitely be able to point you in the right direction.
I appreciate that.
But that said,
He knows a lot of things, and he's very good at pointing you towards the right person if he doesn't know it.
that still brings us to the bigger issue. How do we want to approach this? Because if I understood correctly, you're not going to be able to return anytime soon.
I don't see that being a possibility, no.
Well, there is always a place for you here, but I don't know if you have any idea of what you want to do. You can travel, you can learn a bit about the world. We will. Well, I guess we'll supply some resources to make that possible. Or you can hang around here, perhaps get to know some of the people and help out. I guess always an option.
I'm sure there are also the things that you could. I mean, you taught us plenty about a particularly dangerous foe. I'm sure that, well, the others in our group who we're expecting to send out on similar adventures could do with the same knowledge.
She considers that for a moment and sort of says, "I appreciate the hospitality. I think, if it is quite alright, I will remain here for a while and learn what I can about this place and its surroundings, and then perhaps travel in search of the information that I'll need to find my way home. I cannot have been the first Githzerai to arrive here, for there have been tales of this place told among my people for, well, several generations. I would be surprised if my people left without leaving at least some form of mark behind."
Well, if you ever need someone to... Well, that is to say that I would be more than happy to tell you anything you might need to know about this world, and if you would rather not listen to my ramblings, I can always lend you several books on the subjects.
She nods again and says, "That would be appreciated. I think perhaps first I need to learn a little more about the lay of the land. I find myself rather stranded."
That's quite all right.
We can certainly get some maps.
Well,
Do we have a map in here? And at which point, let's just probably start clearing
Elizabeth,
a
I
bunch
was
of
just
stuff off the table because there's probably a map in here somewhere.
Elizabeth. We'll just send her to Tiff, our our resident cartographer.
You know what? That is also a pretty good idea.
I'm sure she has the things that you seek. And well, I will admit she might be. I don't know if it's going to be. Well, I don't think it will be a problem. She's talkative, but she's all right. What else? Well, I guess if there's any other, well, I guess you just feel free to go do your thing, and then if you figure out what you want to do, we'll try and assist. However, I guess even though it's not that we don't trust you, but I guess we should also get an update on the situation here, and well, how about if whilst you get situated,
she catches your drift, sort of bows slightly, and says, "I will excuse myself and find my way around."
Excellent.
And yeah, she departs as well.
So things look to be progressing quite nicely. Like turning to Vondal.
Yeah, he nods and says, "Yeah, the guys the Queen recommended are, well, they've barely been here a day and they've already, well, whipped into shape is probably a poor term, but they've definitely put the spurs on the rest of the folk working here. Apparently they're setting up some contraption. I didn't really follow all of the details, but from what I understood, it should aid with getting the walls up a little faster."
Out of all people, I'd have expected you to know at least. But
he sort of like looks a little bit like upset at that and says, "Well, when I was building things, I was using my hands. This is some dumbest newfangled contraption."
In my day, we had hands and hammers.
Let's not forget it has been 100 years since Vondal was home. A lot changes in a century.
Vondal like blusters onto himself like quietly about gnomish newfangled contraptionry and other things.
Yeah.
What's wrong with a little mortar and pestle and
God, Vondal really is Von Dad.
He really do be Von
Yeah.
Dad, though.
he is Von Dad. That's his whole business. That's it.
Yeah, but you have to give him a hard time to really make it come out.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, yeah, like the old man Von Dad side at least. The Von Dad side's always there.
Yeah.
That's fair. Fair enough. Well, I guess it's good to know that they're doing their parts. How have things been around here otherwise? But I see that there haven't been any emergencies, considering, well, Lars and the bunch are still around.
Yeah, Vondal sort of shakes his head and says, "No, honestly, on the surface of it, it's been quiet."
I'm not sure to be concerned by it or relieved.
I'm verging on concerned at this point.
Have we had word from? I've forgotten her name.
Angelica.
Yeah.
Yeah. At that, he sort of like pauses for a moment and says, "I was going to get to that, actually. We were due a report yesterday, and she's usually pretty punctual with these things, which is partly fueling my concern."
Oh.
It's not comforting.
No.
Well,
I mean, the reports she sends are usually just paper reports, so it could be that a courier got held up somewhere, so ordinarily I wouldn't even think twice about it, but it's the fact that everything is quiet and there's no report that's making me worried.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know her quite well, Elizabeth. Well, I say quite well.
I know her about as
You
well as
you knew
anyone who's been
her a
trapped in
day
an
longer
alternate
than
dimension.
anyone else.
Well,
Yeah,
when I
I
say
know her
quite,
about as well as you could know anyone with whom you were trapped in an alternate pocket dimension in which time moves weirdly for 10 minutes. Way.
yes, but what I was trying to get at was, I imagine a little message a strategic message might help.
Oh, that's what you're getting at.
Yeah.
I suppose I can do that.
Um,
I guess I can. Yeah, I guess I can.
I mean,
Might as well quickly cast sending.
we only have to think the answers, so I think we should be fine, right? So she can always answer,
Yeah.
even if she's in trouble.
Okay, so
Unless there's something blocking the communication in the first place, she can respond.
you're casting sending on
Yeah, and I'm
Angelica, are
going
you?
to say. And yeah, I'm just going to say. Things are looking quiet from where we stand. Your report's apparently running late. Courier issue, or yours?
Okay. You missed your last report. I'm sorry, folks. A bureaucrat needs my time.
Although,
Shut up,
could you
Joker.
imagine every time you just miss a deadline, just a voice appears in your head? Oof. Terrifying.
Hello, Guardian. What do you think you're doing? Okay, so you cast a spell. A brief moment elapses, and you hear Angelica's voice in your head. Hey, Elizabeth. En route to deliver report in person. Some interesting details, and a present.
Okay. So Elizabeth looks a little surprised, but like pleasantly surprised, and just says, "Oh, apparently she has some details. She's on her way in person."
Well, um, hmm. I guess that means it must be either very important or something else. But
Hmm.
I guess that is, out of all the bad situations, that one is not that bad.
No. It means either she has something confidential and so she doesn't trust a courier to deliver it without reading it, or she's just found something she wants to discuss, well, that needs to be discussed in person for reasons possibly pertaining to, you know, it's easier than trying to communicate it over a letter. As nice as it is to be able to send letters to people, that sometimes it's not talking to someone, you know?
Yeah, but as well as someone in her role, that is usually you know, being able to convey messages with not in person is the important part. But
Well, I imagine usually she's used to either being someone who passes a message along from somebody else, or, you know, having someone else to pass the message to. There's usually
there's
a full
no
network, and we don't have that.
there's absolutely no reason for us to speculate. So
No.
we'll
Might
find
as well
out
just wait
soon.
for her. So I guess we have a couple of days to kill.
Yes. Unless something else has. Well, I guess we're gonna have to stay around for a while anyway. Anything else happen?
Vondar sort of shakes his head, turns to you, Arya, and says, a package did arrive for you, but I don't think it's that important.
Oh, okay.
Eyes? Eyes emoji?
I don't know what the package is.
Yeah. Elizabeth's just gonna go north or south. Do we reckon?
What?
You know, like, is it from the north or from the south?
I don't know.
Well,
Well,
no one got what I was hinting at, so I'm just gonna, you know, kill that conversation there.
Fanart just sort of shrugs and says, maybe she should open it and find out.
Yeah.
Or sorry, maybe she
So-
could open it and find out.
Well, I guess,
Well-
even Arya has the private. Well, I was going to say a private life, as if any of us have a private life, really. But
We
Um,
do have private lives. It's just that we're often together.
Well, yeah, but-
Vondal sucks his teeth and says, "I don't remember that being in the contract."
Anyway,
wow.
Vondal, now that we are here, is there anything that you would like assistance with?
He looks up from his notes again and just sort of says, well, there's nothing really pressing. I mean, you can make yourselves useful wherever it is you feel you'll be useful, but most things are running pretty smoothly."
Fair enough.
Well, I guess that fits in with the whole everything being quiet. Well, I
he
guess
nods
we'll-
and says, "Yeah, it's like I said, I don't like it."
Yeah.
It's
well,
odd. I like being busy, but I also don't like being busy. But when it's too quiet, it's also not right either.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
You want to be busy enough that you've got work to keep you occupied, but you don't want to be so busy that you're frantic.
but for now, what I think is most of us have been suffering from what could only be described as paranoid feelings for quite a few days, with the occasional relief of the crown, or not crown, of the headbands or
Yeah.
whatever.
Those little tiaras, yeah.
I think we should maybe just take a little bit just to
Wind
unwind.
down.
Nothing
Yeah,
wrong
I
with a
think
little bit of R&R. Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of which, I almost forgot, Grim.
Oh?
Small business thing, not super important. I think I found us a cook.
A cook.
Oh.
You know what? If I will let you be the judge of the cook.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Well, you're the chef, so you'd know.
Grim may not,
He,
but
he like strokes a beard and says, "I wouldn't go so far as chef, but yeah, chef is it's a good title."
well, as much
Chef
as I know
purely
Grim is
refers to.
as much as I know that Grim is not going to ask questions, I'm quite curious. Who is this person you found?
He sort of flips back through his pages of notes, and he says, "Halfling by the name of Halban. He's been basically working as, I guess, like second in chief to one of the taverns in town, and from my understanding, he's looking for promotional opportunity that isn't arising within his current organization. So I approached him, and he seems reasonable, he seems capable, and more importantly, he knows how to, I guess, I don't know, do you lead chefs?
Yeah. You get head chefs.
Yeah, he knows how to organize a kitchen. is
Yeah,
what you're trying to say.
he knows how to run a kitchen, better than I do, at least. I mean, when I'm in the kitchen, I like to be in control of everything, and obviously that's not possible when you're cooking on such a grand scale, but I
As long
think
as-
he'll get along well.
You know what?
Yeah, as
Oh.
long as he's okay with Rask usually hanging out there.
I think
Yeah.
I think he'll be all right with it. In fact, the two of them might even be able to work together. I don't know.
Only the future can tell that one.
You know what? I think, more. Well, especially now that we're growing. Well, I guess it's a little early to, but we should. Getting more people is a good thing.
Yeah.
Although there
Very
is one
rarely
thing
is it-
you. Fundal, you're still capable of the old dispel magic, right?
Oh yeah.
I think I was considering like who we're up against and past events. I was thinking maybe we make a list to slowly rotate everybody through, like getting just a little magic check once a year or so.
To make sure no one's disguised.
Well, not disguised, not mind controlled, not we've run into our fair share of magical influences. And I was thinking, like, well, I don't think we can quite afford the same luxury that we had with they have at the church in what's it called?
Well, thinking about it though, Grim.
Yeah.
This is a mercenary unit. We inspect troops, don't we? They line up and before drills and such. It probably wouldn't be super difficult to simply have someone with detect magic give everyone a once over.
Does that catch everything?
It would detect if any spell had been cast on them, and it'd tell us what it is.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
I'll trust you on that.
Vondal sort of nods along with what Elizabeth is saying and says, "Well, yeah, I'd never thought to do it as part of the drill lineup, but I could easily prepare a detect magic and drill the troops while I have it on. They wouldn't even know."
Yeah, maybe. Well, I guess in that case, monthly might be okay. If you only have to cast like once a month and just walk around, that's not that big of a deal.
I mean, if you think that's a good idea, that's. I'm
Well,
happy
I
to do
think
that.
And
like
then
I feel like it
is
might save.
experiencing magical effects that they shouldn't be under, then that's when you can break out the dispel magics.
I will admit, part of it is because we may have, angered a very powerful magic being.
Yeah, no, I can understand the trepidation.
Not to mention, who knows what the Dread Legion's trying to sneak their way into.
Probably more powerful magic beings.
Yeah. If going up against what we're going up against, it may be a good idea.
Yes. And if it's that's why I'm just suggesting it. It's as if it doesn't. I assume it won't be too much of a hassle, especially if we've got that.
Not really.
Especially if we have that new chef, then that will free up your mornings to. Well, I guess that's 10 minutes once a month.
I thought about getting the chef so I could have less things to do, but I guess that also works.
Well, that could even be. That's even another good idea.
Elizabeth, I'm kidding. It's fine.
What? Well, no, I'm just pointing out that as well. You could even do it during dinner, because that's when everyone gathers together in one place.
Well, I guess the time is not. Well, as long as we have it in a structured manner, that's fine. The details will.
Structure it, report it, write it down.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a sound idea. I'm surprised we didn't think of that before.
Well, I guess we didn't have the size that we were worried. Well, and enemies at the time.
Yeah, I suppose it was easier to keep track of things. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. That's well thought of.
Well, before we figure out more things for you to do whilst you're getting some more time off.
Yeah, goodness me, would you look at the time? I've got to be somewhere that's not here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fucking Vondal.
Amazing.
We still need to get proper rank and title set up, but
Good. Vondal just points at Grim and says, "That's his job."
Yeah, I know.
Well, I did.
It's just surprisingly hard to just not copy the military and still have it be meaningful.
Vondal gathers up his things and just leaves while you're having this conversation.
Yeah. Elizabeth's gonna. Well, I did have a potential idea that's maybe slightly more unique, if that's what you wanted. At least for us, not like a whole system, but just for us as the inner circle, the top brass.
Oh, you mean a name?
Yeah, like ranks for us.
Sure.
And she gestures to the party.
Yeah, sure, shoot.
So obviously you're the commander. That's established.
Yep.
But then amongst me, Arya, and Kelariis, there's 3 very distinct roles that we can potentially get applied to. You can have a general of the bow, a general of the blade, and a general of magic.
I was thinking,
Something like that.
I was thinking something more generic, like we're the eagles, and then we have the fledglings, and then we need something in between.
That's just
Yeah,
the Boy
that works too.
Scouts.
I know, but like,
That's the Boy Scouts. Oh my god.
I mean, you could just do different birds.
we're just what if the Boy Scouts got in real trouble?
The Boy Scouts, the real enemy all along.
Like,
Fine.
below eagles, you could have falcons.
And,
Hawks.
I mean, I do think that kind of defeats the purpose of being, the Amber Eagle.
Yeah.
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 I mean, do we have to make it bird themed? I feel like we don't.
There is absolutely no obligation.
Well, why don't we can always just mix both?
Law point. The Dragonborn military outfits are go from claw, talon, scale, wing, and then like you have a full dragon, which is like basically a legion.
Well, I guess that's not too bad of the system.
But that's for divisions of men, not individuals.
Well, also, I
Yeah.
guess in this kind of setting, there wasn't usually proper military ranks like you have in modern warfare. There was just a soldier, and then you'd have a captain in charge of that group.
Well, like I feel like our group is kind of like, well, we've got the commander, and then like I'm kind of like, the only thing I'm debating is, do we count Lars and that bunch, like our elite group, as the same as us, or do we want like a separate group for them? I think we want a separate group for them because I feel like we are still like one step above them.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think any
Yeah.
of us should be able to command.
Oh yeah, and then when we have, if we ever get to the point where we have multiple teams like that, they'd be on that kind of same level,
Yes.
Yeah, you've got your Marines, your ODSTs, and then your Spartans.
Yeah. Like I said, we're the inner circle, the top brass. Everyone, like, you take orders from you yourself, Grim. We take orders from you and nobody else.
Well,
That kind of thing.
No.
That's subjective.
Yeah,
on
kind of.
paper, maybe.
On paper, yeah. On paper, but yeah, we all
In
know
reality,
in practice,
like,
that doesn't really work.
well, actually, the others listen quite well. There's just the one person that doesn't listen, now, isn't there?
Hey,
Ooh.
I do listen.
Yeah, and then decide not to to follow up.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
As if I'm the only person who's gone against rules in this group.
No, just have the longest history of doing it. But that's fine. Whew. But yeah, well,
I don't know. I just wanted to throw that idea out. It got in my head. I thought it might be cool.
yeah, I think it's not the worst idea. It's definitely better than no idea.
That's our ideas in a nutshell.
But
Not
like,
the greatest, but better than no idea.
like, you might give me crap for it, but I usually just try to mention everything, and then somebody might have an idea that relates to one of my other ideas, but then better.
I mean, hey, it's worked out for us so far. Yeah, how about we get some of that rest and relaxation you were talking about?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Kelariis and Arya don't have to awkwardly stand in a corner anymore.
And listen to us talk, as always.
This is
Hey,
fine.
women a few words. I can respect it. It's just not my style.
We've noticed.
I was going to be offended, but then, you're right, so...
I mean, it's not meant to be an insult, it's just a fact.
It's just an
Yeah,
observation.
exactly, that's my point. At which point, yeah, Elizabeth's going to walk to the door and hold it open for everyone, assuming that people are leaving.
Okay. What is everybody up to?
I want to see what I got in the mail.
Okay.
Oh,
What did
And I'm
the
not doing it
mailman
with all of
bring?
you nosy Nellies over here.
Yeah, you're going to run off somewhere private with your parcel and open it.
Arya disappears in a room and comes out and is like, "So what was in the package? What package?"
There was no
There was
There's
just
no
waves-
package in Bossing Say.
Just waves a hand in front of our faces like, this isn't the package you're looking for.
Oh no.
You don't want to see the package. You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home. I want to go home and rethink my life. The problem is, you say that to Elizabeth, I want to go home and rethink my life. She just turns around, whoop, gone. Disappears.
It's not quite that easy.
No. I don't think Elizabeth counts as feeble-minded.
No.
That can be arranged.
Wow.
I mean, it did happen to Arya.
It did.
And to V.
It's not fun. Would not recommend. 0 out of 10 would recommend.
Look, you get to drool all you want. It's a miracle.
Drooling has never been high on my list of priorities or wants, to be honest.
Yeah, you know what? I'm good.
fair
Acceptable
enough.
public drooling.
Acceptable public.
God,
viewing.
finally, I could drool all over people.
Oh
It's
my
not-
god,
it's
I've been
not
waiting all
acceptable.
my life to just drool everywhere like a
Quick,
dog.
someone put it
You've
in vials
never
and
wanted
sell
to
it
be more like
Holy
Lyra
Mary
ever.
internet.
Anyway.
Quick, put it in vials or sell it to horny men on the internet.
Ew.
Gross.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry.
yeah, you go downstairs, dip into Vondal's office for a second, and there is indeed a package there. It's very, very like nicely tied up with like a length of string either ways. It's probably about a foot by a little under a foot, but when you pick it up, it is like it basically like it flexes in your hands. It is soft.
Are you telling me that this is a brown paper package tied up with string?
Kind of. Except it's not paper.
Oh.
But yeah, it's like canvas.
But then it would have been like one of my favorite things.
Yes, it is a canvas package that contains something soft and flexible.
Okay. Is there like a return address?
I don't think that's a thing.
No.
Oh,
it's-
well.
the postal service is not that advanced.
no.
Are you telling
isn't
me?
really-
Arya's
There
gonna
isn't
make
a
it become
postal
that
service.
advanced.
You just hand it to some guy and say, "Hey, take this here for me," and he goes, "Cool, give me money."
Give me an investigation check.
All right.
Check the handwriting of the person the person who wrote the address.
Can't believe it was a mail
Okay.
bomb.
I can't believe it's just.
I can't believe
just
it's
a
not-
spam letter.
She
It's
just
like-
she just puts her ear next to it. What is that?
It's like all the
mysterious
fucking
ticking
Capital One
noise?
credit card offers I get in the mail every goddamn month, and it's like,
Yeah.
here, you wanna buy our credit card? And I'm like, no,
It's-
fuck you.
It's a letter from your bank just saying, "Buy a credit card." I don't
Yeah,
want a
seriously.
credit
I don't
card.
even have Capital One is not even my bank, but they send me so much fucking mail.
Oh wow!
I feel
that's even
terrible.
worse.
So the address is not in a hand you recognise, but it is a very fine hand that it's written in. Like it is,
Okay.
it is a very thin, very elaborate script.
So not one I would recognize.
Not one you recognise, no.
I think
All
I
right,
know.
interesting.
Actually, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, so you take it to your room.
I would like to open it.
Yeah, you undo the strings, unfold the canvas like package, and into your lap falls two things.
Snake.
A snake
A venomous snake.
and a boot. No. No, so out of the package falls a thin white envelope, and a blue, like an ice blue scarf made of a thin material. Maybe ice blue is a bit too light. It is a light
Woad
blue. No, not woad blue. Lighter than woad.
Lighter
Yeah,
than
woad is
woad, but
actually-
darker than ice. There you go.
Yes. Yeah, it is a light blue, thin material that, as you sort of take it out and sort of like lay it in your hands, you realize is like a long folded length of material, possibly a scarf.
Okay.
But the thin white envelope has your name written in it on it in a hand that you do recognize. And once I get the letters tab open, where is it? Journal letters, Arya's letters. Oh, hang on. I need to make this available to you specifically. There you go. Yeah, you can read the letter. What are the rest of you doing? Anyone?
I wouldn't be doing anything specifically, just, I guess having a look as to how things are shaping up, just general.
Okay, yeah, it's sort of like take your get into your room, take your armor off, start sort of have a wander around the compound.
Taking in how things are going.
Yeah, it's quite a hustle and bustle of productivity. You're reasonably happy with how everyone is working. And you can, like, sort of standing around amidst all of these, like, loose scaffolds and the wall coming up, you're beginning to sort of, like, visualize what this place is going to look like when it's finished. And,
I did.
Yeah, it's pretty promising.
I didn't realize there's also one other thing I'm doing. If I happen to see Orden or what's her
Kada.
name? Yep. I'm gonna just I'm not gonna like fully check them out, but I want to like just keep an eye on if one of them has a limp or a black eye. Or
Yeah. Okay.
if anything has happened.
Okay.
Make sure they've behaved.
Well, more as if they've gone at
Sure.
it, or if
So you're
Scrap.
wandering around, keeping an eye out for these two that you know have potentially had confrontations. Anybody else?
I mean, yeah, if no one else has anything, I have a weird compulsion to go talk to Sidani.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Elizabeth wants to find Sidani.
Okay. Yeah, she's easy enough to find. She is hard at work training recruits, but eventually she sort of finishes what she's doing.
Yeah, wait for it to finish.
Like, turns to see you waiting and says, "Ah, Elizabeth, welcome back."
Oh, thanks. Things been okay while we've been gone? For you, at least?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been well, hard work doesn't quite cut it ever in this job, I feel, but yeah, there's really a dull moment, let's put it that way.
Don't overwork yourself.
I'm fine, honestly, thank you. I appreciate the concern, but I'm keeping on top of things, and well, I'm starting to get more into the swing of things, even with more people to keep an eye on.
Well, that's good. They do say that once you start at something more, it becomes more natural.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I've only ever dealt with small groups up to this point, so the more it scales, the more complex things become. And obviously I've not had the best things in terms of training space, not that that's a complaint. I realise that we're expanding and there's not a whole lot we can do, but...
Yeah. Well, that just means eventually we'll have a much bigger space.
That's what I'm hoping.
So, I know you do a little bit of magic on the side. Have you practiced much with that? I know you probably get plenty of
She
opportunity to
she
practice
sort of
with
folds her
your
arms up and just says, "Are you checking on me?"
Look, I'm just curious. I'm not trying to patronize or anything. I'm sorry if I came across that way.
She grins and like slaps you heartily on the shoulder. And just says, "I'm messing with you, Elizabeth. Yes,
Oh.
I'm practicing.
Ugh.
I don't know if I'm making progress, but I'm fairly confident with what I can do now. Like I've got some basic tricks that make sword fights a little bit more interesting."
Ugh. You know, I got here and suddenly I'm very nervous.
What have you got to be nervous about?
I don't people well.
She just sort of like looks at you confused, just like, okay.
Like, you know, like you find people who you want to get to know better, but you don't know how to talk to people. So what do you do? And you know,
Talk
you're
to
always
people more?
well. I know, but you're always busy, and I never want to intrude on anything you might be doing or need to start moving towards to get doing.
I'm not really sure I'm the best person to learn conversational skills from, if we're being honest. Like, I'm good at talking to groups of people and making sure they're in order. I'm not exactly, like... I'm no smooth talker.
Okay, fair, but like, you know, you're the person I want to talk to and get to know better. So, look, it was easier in my head.
She just, like, looks a little bemused and is like, am I missing something here?
If you were to know the thing that was going around in my head, I'd be slightly scared of you. So no.
She's like just at this point like notably concerned, but also just generally perplexed. She's like,
Okay.
You've lost me completely.
Okay, basically, I had a strange compulsion to come talk to you more because part of our adventure earlier involved weird dreams, and part of my weird dream involved being here with everyone, but because I was dreaming, no one knew anything that I didn't know, and so talking to people was impossible. And it made me realize just how little I know of people here, despite the fact that, you know, we're all meant to be working together for this cool new group that we've got going.
Okay, I kind of follow you. So you're concerned that we might all just be a big illusion?
No, not so much that. It's more that the big illusion that we just saw made me want to get to know people more. So here I am trying to get to know people more.
She thinks for a moment, like makes a couple of gestures with her hands, and thinks of it. You know what? Maybe here is a bad time to do it. Maybe catch
Quite
me
possibly.
later. I don't really know what it is you want from me, but I'm happy to talk it out if you want to.
I guess I'm just curious about you. Where you come from, that kind of thing.
I mean, there isn't all that much to tell, but sure, let's catch up later.
over dinner, I guess.
I'll be there, same as everyone else.
Cool. Sorry to be a bother.
It's okay. You caught me a little off guard, is all.
Yeah, I caught myself off guard, which I didn't see coming.
Oh, before I go, who was that you brought back with you?
Oh, Yeah, see, our last adventure's a long story. But basically, she's someone we met as part of the journey and helped us take down one of the major threats in the story of that adventure.
Ah, okay.
But she's lost and can't get home.
So she's like a...
staying with us for now.
Okay. She's like a fey elf, like Arya is, or...
No. Like I said, it's a it's a long and confusing story, and if you want to know more about that, then we probably shouldn't talk about it here. You know?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, let's...
I need to know stories.
Yeah, I guess I'll ask Grim about it at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got stuff to get to. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Yeah, she hurries off. Cool. Kelariis, what are you doing?
I mean, honestly, probably just going to check with Tallithsyr and just like catch up with her. Yeah, I don't know where if she's even. I'm sure she's like around the keep, unless she's gone out to do something. But
no, she like pretty much everybody on your staff role is currently within the keep. So yeah, you find her sort of easily enough, probably practicing somewhere. She sort of sees you approach, holds the sword to the side and like approaches you. Smiles, waves, just sort of says, "You're back."
Yeah, we just got back now. Well, not very long ago, at least. How? Sorry, did we determine how long we've actually been gone? Like if extra time had passed or less?
So due to the effects of Arya's bow, or Arya's blessing rather.
Oh, right, we don't.
Yeah, you don't suffer the time dilation anymore.
Oh.
That's right. Okay.
So you've been gone just over a week, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not even a week. We've only been gone.
Oh no,
for 5 days.
Well,
really? Was it all?
It'll be 6 days come the end of today. So.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
wow.
makes sense. Like I've deducted 6 rations. So no, this might
Basically, we've been gone about a week.
It feels like it was way longer than that, but I think it's just so much shit happened.
Yeah, also we've
Yeah.
got
Just
several
packed a lot
sessions
into
in
those
there,
hours.
so...
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like
a
that.
combination of a lot of sessions, and we packed a lot into each day.
Yeah.
Well, it was like that one time we were in the demi-plane, and we were in there for fucking forever, like session count wise, but we were in there for like what, 2 or 3 days tops.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah,
rough.
we found out like 100-year-old man in there.
Yep.
Oh yeah, God, I feel
Look-
bad.
look
I
funny.
hope he's doing okay.
Yeah, I hope his church is going well. I hope he has
Anyways.
a nice church going.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, she sort of nods to acknowledge and sort of says, well, there's not a whole lot to report about since you've been gone. It's been quiet. Honestly, a little dull, if I'm being completely plain.
I mean, on one hand, the quiet is nice, but it's easy to run into things to do.
Yeah, I'm feeling that at the moment. It's sort of sure I'm helping out in drills every now and again, but I'm kind of a bit too experienced for the regular everyday stuff that Sedani runs, but at the same time, I'm not sort of on the same level as the other guys who are going out and doing their own sort of training thing, like Lars on that lot. So I've just sort of been practicing by myself a lot.
I mean, practicing by yourself is you can only do that so much.
She nods and sort of says, holds up the sword and says, "I've been getting used to the new sword."
Has it been a good fit?
She nods enthusiastically and says, "Ah, yeah, definitely. It's so much lighter than your old sword, and I've got a lot. It feels like, I mean, it's a sword. It's as rigid as anything, but it feels like I have more flexibility with it."
I mean, considering it was a sword made more to fit you than, for example, an old sword of mine, it would make sense. There are stock swords and ones that you get as hand-me-downs, but the ones that are tailored a bit tend to suit you a bit better.
She nods acknowledgement and says, "Man, if you'd have told me back when we first met that one day I'd be running around with my own sort of handcrafted personal sword, I don't know that I would have believed you."
I mean, I don't know if I would have fully believed it if I said it myself, so I'm glad I didn't. But you wanted to do something like this. And I think perhaps it's better, or I guess I can't make that judgment for you, but I'm glad that it was here instead of perhaps with the army.
She sort of there's almost like a little look of remorse, and she just sort of nods and says, "Yeah, sort of been. I mean, I had ideas when." She stumbles for a moment and then just sort of continues as if you know the rest of the sentence, which you can kind of assume she's referring to the death of her father.
Yeah.
But she carries on and sort of says, "I always wanted to get out and do something, and in Mom's eyes, that was always doing stuff like getting a job or joining the army, and I kind of always knew that that was never really going to be a thing. And then when you were around, I sort of... Well, I understood things more, or at least I felt like I did. So I kind of, after that point, I always thought, well, I guess I'm going to go do whatever Kelariis is going to do. And while it's not exactly the same thing, I guess I've kind of done that. Like, at first I thought I'd be sort of just following you around everywhere, but actually I'm kind of glad it isn't that. No offense, of course.
No, none taken at all.
I
mean, in a sense, you did what I did because you made your own choice and you followed that path.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but when you were younger, did it always feel like everyone had your whole life planned and you didn't get any input?
I mean, yeah, they, for a while at least, wanted me to be part of the family, the fishing. I learned how to do that at a pretty young age. Most of us do, but I knew that I always wanted to do something different. They tried to persuade me otherwise for a bit, but I was... Maybe it's surprising to you, but I can be very persistent about things.
She smiles. She sort of nods along and says, "Yeah, I mean, ever since I was old enough to walk on my own two legs and carry a basket, I was helping in the fields, and I think if Mum had had a way, that would have been where I'd spent most of my life, and save a short stint in the army and maybe like getting married and having kids or something. But I don't know, that always seemed just... I wanted to do something different. I've always got to admit my rebellious streak, but it's more than just that.
I mean, I guess part of it is our families want us to be as safe as we can be. And sometimes that means that they want to keep us close when, once we've done our service for the army.
Yeah, I think somehow, even if Mum could have avoided that somehow, she would have.
Understandable, but... Well, I think if anybody could have pulled it off, it would have been your mom.
She chuckles at that, just as, yeah, I mean, even after I went back and talked to her in the end, I still felt like she didn't really want to let me go, but she did, and that's progress for her, I guess. And I hope that she has realized by now that, well, that she has choices as well. She doesn't always have to do what's told of her. I think she'd only ever lived like that up to that point, and then I hope she's thinking about it differently now.
I mean, I guess that's part of why people like us, and just kind of like gestures between the two of us, that's why I think whether we intend to or not, we end up setting an example. You wanted to do something different, but if you were anything, or well, no, I guess I wouldn't say it that way. You always wanted to do something different, but maybe you didn't see that you could until everything else that happened. I think for my younger brother, it's probably the same way, but I think he's, on the other hand, quite pleased to make the choice to stay and continue to do fishing.
She thinks about
I
that
think
and just sort of nods.
It's showing people that they can make the choice instead of just following what path is laid for them.
Yeah, she nods and agrees with that and just sort of says, yeah. I mean, like, here, well, generally I'm supposed to follow orders, but then there's sometimes where I think sometimes it's following the orders directly isn't always the best option. Not that Sudani's orders are bad or anything like that, but sometimes I feel like I just have a better understanding of what I should be doing.
That's dangerous talk right there.
I was gonna say, but that's also the mood.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if I was still following orders, I would have left with the rest of my company when I was in your hometown. So I think you know how I feel about not always wanting to follow orders.
She nods.
It's good to pay them mind, and I think that I've learned that more as I've been around the rest of Grim and Arya and Elizabeth and Vondal and even V. But it's still important to be able to know when it's time to listen and when it's time to do your own thing.
She considers that for a moment.
It's not always an easy distinction, but it can be a very important one.
Once again, Kelariis shares her knightly wisdom to our squire.
I don't even know if it's always. I guess it is.
Knightly wisdom!
I'm no knight. I'm a paladin, please.
Yeah.
It's different.
Paladin wisdom!
Please get my title right. I'm a
Yeah,
paladin.
I'm sorry. You spent thousands of food and gold on the upgrades to paladin. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Anyway,
Age of Empires reference.
so yeah, I think Tallithsyr considers that for a moment, and then just sort of says, turns back to you, like puts the sword away, like relaxes a little bit, and just sort of says, you know, I was talking to Cal yesterday.
Yeah.
He's odd.
Don't make
In
fun
what
of our
way do you
son.
mean? I know. I was like, don't get our son. In what way do you mean?
Well, when I first met him, I thought he was a blustering idiot, if I'm being brutally honest.
Our
Poor
son.
Cal.
I know.
Your daughter is dunking on your son. What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
War of children.
Yeah. She says he was always so just full of his grand ideas of stories. And I mean, like, you should have heard him when he was first trying to write stories about you and the Amber Eagle. Like, he was just blowing things horribly out of proportions and just saying things that just never actually happened. And
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I thought
Love that boy.
he was just being deliberately obtuse and just being wrong on purpose and just trying to annoy us. But I was talking to him yesterday, and I think I kind of get where he's coming from. Like, he was saying how he wants stories that inspire people. So I asked him, doesn't he think it's better to tell the truth to inspire people? Like, surely people would get more out of a story that's true. And he said, I forget exactly what it was that he said or the way he put it, but he was saying things about how inspiring stories is things that stick with you, and you don't always remember things the exact way that they were, but you remember the lesson that you learned from them. And at the end of the day, as long as the lesson's there, it doesn't really matter what happened. And I don't know, like, I think he's wrong to make up some of the things that he does and tell the stories in the way that he does, but I think he's got a good heart. Like, what you said just now made me think about it, because I didn't set out to make an example to anyone, and I don't think you did either. But we have, and if people learn something good from that, then that's a good thing, right?
Exactly.
So, and I mean, I know I've made mistakes.
And so have I.
But I think the fact that we make mistakes is less important if at the end of the day the lessons are learned. Does that sound crazy?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I think that is part of the reason that after having had a chance to talk with Cal and Arya and I met him, we realized that being stuck where he was going to do him no good. And I thought a change of pace for him would be good. I think both of us thought that. make a noise in the background. The thing is even if we make mistakes, we can't ignore them. But I do think that learning the lessons both from what we do well and what we don't is important. And I think if Cal feels like his way of sharing those lessons is to make things a bit more interesting for the average person to hear, I think it's alright.
She like sort of nods and says, "Yeah, I still think some of his stuff is just way too implausible, but
I also agree, but he's going to do what he's going to do, and out of all of the changes, or out of all of the things he could be doing with his skill with words, this is honestly not an awful thing.
yeah."
Who knows, maybe over time he'll tone it down a little bit.
Here's hoping. Because, I mean, I know Grim, and there's absolutely no way that he was having riddle battles with a dragon. That just... And she just, like, throws her hands up in, like, mock, like, giving up.
Yeah. No, I think that he would manage to insult a dragon before he could get through any good riddles with one.
I mean, from the way you told it, that's pretty much what happened.
Well, if you've been practicing alone, maybe it's good for you to have somebody to spar with.
She breaks into a grin and says, "I was hoping you'd say that."
Yeah, Kelariis is also just grinning. Oh, grab a sword and...
Okay.
Microphones are going at it again.
Of course.
Yeah,
No,
you
needs a beating every now and then.
you
Wow.
get into sparring again, and as is custom, it tends to attract a small crowd. But yeah, I think with that, that is a good place to take a brief break, and then we will come back to Grim.
Gasp.
Oh,
Gasp.